Welcome to another episode of Audience First. Today I'm doing something special because, well, it's my birthday weekend and I wanted to celebrate and gift you with a nice little package of the best of the worst. What does that mean? Well, every episode I ask my guest one critical question. What's the worst thing you've experienced from a vendor? And just for you, voila, I've compiled a nice little shit list. What's more, I always ask my guest, what's the alternative? Because what does it help us to hear complaints without learning how to do things better? So do me a favor, have a listen, and if you want to spoil me for my birthday, apply those insights. I hope you find this episode valuable. Now, let's get to it.
Welcome to Audience First, a podcast for tech marketers looking to break out of the echo chamber to better understand their audience and turn them into loyal customers. Every week, Danny Wolf has brutally honest conversations with busy tech buyers about what really motivates them, the things they hate that vendors do, and what you can do about it. Get access to practical information on how to build authentic relationships with your audience. Listen to and talk with your buyers, and apply real customer insights to your strategies and tactics. You owe it to the world to unmute your mic. Are you ready?
All right, here's what Chris Roberts had to say.
I think it's the biggest, probably the biggest failure of anybody approaching is not knowing your audience. So coming in and spouting quantum and AI and ML, and not being able to back it up. You got handed the sheet. This is the text I have to say. Hello, I am Chris. I am selling you a machine learning language system that is able to do AI. It will take care of you. It will protect you. It is 100% hacker proof. Okay. And again, back to that, 8 times out of 10, you're going to get slapped with that. One time you get the deal because you met the poor unfortunate person that wasn't us. When you start asking, okay, so let's talk about your AI. Okay, go get your tech engineer, get him to talk about AI, and you can't explain it. And it's this magic box, this ethereal magic box that just does stuff. No, that's not how computers work. It's that inability to actually come up there and say, yeah, I kind of know what's going on with this. And by the way, even if I don't know, let me go get the geeks who really understand it, because it sounds like you kind of got your knowledge. And hey, I'd love to have the conversation. I'd love to be the fly on the wall when you talk with them. That is, it's that. And oh, actually, no. You know what? Screw that. Sorry. Bugger this for Game of Soldiers. This is the one that I want to reach through the computer and I just want to grasp you. And I'm going to hold you by the throat, and I'm going to get a wet haddock, and I'm just going to smack you backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards with this fucking wet haddock. The one that I hate is when I get used as a stepping stone.
Oh,
Hey, would love to connect. Could you, I'm trying to get to the CISO.
oof.
Yeah, that. Oh, or if you can't get anywhere with me you can't get hold of me in the first date, you're going to go for my sister or my brother. Yeah. Okay. I love being a stepping stone. Do you want me to lay in the puddle face down or face up so you can actually get me in the nuts as well at the same time? Yeah. Oh yeah. I have some examples of being used as a stepping stone, both on email and also in real life. That's where the real life ones, especially when
What?
somebody's,
Yeah, what does that sound like?
Oh, the real life ones are worse, because I've often been the one that's called BS, and then they managed to
Mhm.
get hold of somebody further up the food chain, and they've taken them out. They've invited them for a golfing evening, and then all of a sudden it filters down from the food chain that, yes, we're going to use this. I'm like, you assholes! I will have my revenge.
And
I'm
try.
fine going for the soldiers and lieutenants, but treat them with respect. Don't
Yeah,
use them as a stepping stone. Don't
yeah.
use them. Actually empower them. Hey,
Mm.
I know that your job is crazy, it's long, it's hellish, which is why, by the way, I brought donuts and coffee for you. And they're gluten-free donuts, because I know that you're gluten-free, because I watched your posts. And by the way, hey, how can I not how can I help you? Look, we're all working like idiots. We've all got some stuff going on. We're all on call 24 by 7 by 365. Let's see if I can do something to help. And by the way, I know that you're going to have to take this to leadership. So here's the conversation for you. And here's the prep for you to have the conversation with leadership. That's
Hmm.
fine. And I'm okay with that. But the other thing is, even before that, it's that qualification thing. It's sitting down and actually going, "Hey, I actually can't help you, but I know somebody who can. Hey, let me put you in touch with, yeah, Georgina over there. She's actually fantastic. She works for those guys. Do me, I'm going to just get you connected. Go have a conversation with her, and not
Yeah.
taking anything off the back of it.
Yeah.
You recommend because it's the right thing to do, not because they're going to line your pockets."
Good stuff, right? Wait till you hear what Evan Franson told me.
Okay, I'll give you one thing, not one vendor, one instance. But over the years, I've probably, a few hundred incident responses, and I'm always the guy in the background, right? Most people don't know I was the guy in the target special litigation committee, and I was the guy, there's a lot of weird things that I do. And the one thing I hear over and over and over again, and it's very, very common, is I thought we were protected against that. Uh, which is it's heartbreaking to hear that, when you really understand what that means. What that means is they had a false sense of security. They thought that they had something and they didn't. And I think, from my own experience, it's better to have no security than it is to have a false sense of security because at least when I have no security, I know I have no security. When I have a false sense of security, I'm lying to myself. I think, I'm covered on this. Uh, and that happens for a couple of reasons. I think, vendors sell people things under false premise, right? This can protect you from whatever, and it can't, right? So it's just not capable of doing that, and there's no accountability for that. The FTC here in the United States is supposed to hold you accountable for false advertising, but they don't when it comes to cybersecurity. So you're kind of left on your own to do that vetting yourself. Uh, so one is it's not capable of doing what you said it can do, and the other is, which is more common, is yeah, it can do that, but you have to configure it correctly, and nobody told you how to do that. Nobody told you that you had to click this or click that or change this, change that, and so the vendor sold it and then moved on, right? They got the sale and they moved on because they're incented that way, right? It's they got their quota, and if you can't figure out how to use it, that's your problem, not mine. And that's the
Yeah.
mentality. And we're on the other side of that, right? So we get so many incident response calls, and the most it's top 5 for sure, most common comments in that incident response is, "I thought we were protected about it," from that. The other one we get really, really often is, believe it or not, "What's that system? I don't even know what that system is," "The system was compromised, I didn't even know it was there."
Let's go back to the first, the overpromise, underdeliver. What would the alternative look like, the good enough look like for you, where you would say, "Okay, all right, I got you. Let's go through this and continue
It would
successfully."
ha
Keyword.
Yeah, so it would have to be something, so I have a problem, and you need to demonstrate to me as the vendor how you solve my problem. You need to do so transparently, right? I don't want magic and mirrors. I had one vendor tell me, and Ryan and Chris and I laugh about this all the time because I was invited to help vet a vendor. And the guy said, he's telling about his product and blah, 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 blah. And in the middle of all this stuff about how he's touting his product, he said something that I don't think anybody else caught, but I did. He said, invisible processes. And so I let him finish his, talking. And then I was like, all right, hold up, man. It sounds like a great product. I mean, wow, that's badass. Tell me about these invisible processes. How does that work? And he obviously didn't have an answer because that's not a thing. And so I was like, I was called here, and I don't know if I was supposed to be like politically correct with you or anything, but you're full of shit. There's no invisible processes. That's not a thing. Explain to me how your product works. Explain to me how it will solve the problem that I have, and then help me partner with me, help me implement it and use it effectively. So those would be the things that I'd be looking for in a partner. You know, don't give me any of the marketing hype. I don't need any more damn buzzwords. I mean, shit. People don't understand the buzzwords you're using today, so why would you keep using them? Well, and the reason why I keep using them is because it sounds sophisticated, and we can be non-transparent and sell people more stuff, and that's the point. But for me, on my perspective and people that I represent, it's here's my problem, solve my problem, tell me how you're going to solve my problem, and be transparent. And God help you if you lie to me. No excuse for that. Zero.
I always tell my guests that I do want to have a little bit of fun, and this is where we're going to be curating a long, wonderful shit list. So here's what Chris Elliott told me.
I had a bar that worked for me directly. They provided me people and software and hardware. They proposed a new best in breed tool. I said I couldn't define the business case. I needed a tool. I couldn't define the problem. I needed a tool, and I really was so short staffed. I couldn't maintain or bring another tool on. So I told them it wasn't the right time. I appreciate it, but thanks. They proceeded to go to my boss and convince him he needed this tool, to the point where um, he called me and asking me for numbers. How many endpoints do we have? How many servers do we have? How many VPCs are we in? And I realized when through his asking, what he was doing was he's asking me so he could buy this tool. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, so and so says we need this tool. It's a great tool, and I'm looking into getting it. I'm like, no, I don't want the tool. I can't use the tool. It will be no need. And I said, I told them no. And so I immediately called the vendor up and I said, what are you doing? Well, we thought that, maybe you were just too in the weeds and you couldn't see the bigger picture. So we decided to ask your director what he thought. Well, I'm sorry. I called the director back and I just said, no, I don't want this tool and I refuse to take it. And, if you're going to take the MSSP's view over mine, he's like, absolutely not. It probably killed my relationship with that vendor because I haven't done business with a vendor since, and nor have I received the real fun cold call from them that we all love. So I'm pretty sure I'm on that vendor shit list. But it's fine with me. I never have to deal with that vendor, and I never have to deal with vendors going behind my back.
In your opinion, what would be the alternative approach?
Um, so the relationship of vendors is vital, and I think this is where the vendors miss it. I can't go brief the board that the reason I bought the product is because I had a great lunch, whiskey, and cigars. I know that the vendors love to do that, and I mean we as in we love it, but that's not the reason I'm gonna buy your tool. It's a relationship. You're supplying a tool that fixes a problem for me. I'm buying your tool, which as a salesperson is helping you meet your quota. And this relationship will only work if the tool works for me and I continue to need the tool. So you need to take a look at my business and see what does your business need? How can I help you? How can I apply this tool to your business? And how can we support this tool? I Some of my worst relationship with vendors have been they sold me a tool and don't call me back until the end of each quarter when they want to sell me more of their tool. Not asking me, how are you doing? What's going on with our tool? But do you want more? Um, I have a big vendor now that has sold me a ton of stuff. And every time I say, hey, I don't think your tool's working the way it thinks it is, they're like, well, you should buy this module. And I'm like, well, but what I own is not working. Why would I continue to buy something from you? And it's those hard conversations that you have
Yeah.
to have.
Okay, this was one of the most candid conversations I've had. Listen to what Malia Mason says.
Oh, I think I said it at the beginning, but I have had this multiple times where a vendor will contact me and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing with diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm also supportive of diversity, equity, inclusion. Let me sell you this tool that I'm trying to advertise here." Oh no. That is a surefire way to get on my permanent block. I will blast you. I've put these vendors on blast, and I'm like, how dare you use diversity, equity, inclusion to sell your tool to me? No. Do not ever, ever, ever mix those two. It's great to sponsor a women's event or maybe a Blacks in Cyber event or something like that on behalf of your tool and just say, hey, our company cares, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Do not reach out to somebody and be like, hey, I care about pride. Check out this tool that has nothing to do with pride.
Yeah.
No, do not ever, 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 ever do that. You will get roasted. Same with the conflict. Like I was waiting with the Russian Ukraine conflict. I was waiting. Any vendor that came out and tried to say anything about the Ukrainian conflict and trying to sell their tool, I was like, nope. They are immediately going on my do not ever talk to list. Do not use human suffering in order to sell your tool. Holy cow. No, you are on my shit list forever.
Yep. This is why I like the shit list. Good stories. This is why it's the most fun part of the podcast. Okay, so then what's the alternative for people trying to engage with you?
That's always the challenge. So during COVID, I know everyone was just so flustered and just frustrated and overworked. And I have a lot of friends who work in marketing and sales at various tech firms. And, having been a founder of a company and tried to do the sales thing, spoiler alert, I'm not good at it. I feel like a weird, creepy, stalkery ex girlfriend when I do it. So props to all of you who sell things. This awkward nerd cannot do it. Um, I really feel for y'all because I saw a lot of posts from my fellow cybersecurity folks in the industry who were saying like, "Oh, I'm too busy. Don't reach out to me." Blah blah blah. That's not the solution. You're just being rude, and I think a good way is demonstrate your product. Show us how is this gonna help us. You know, make our lives easier. I just saw a demo for a product the other day that I was so impressed with. It was a 2-minute video, and it was the I think it was, the co-founder was walking through and actually did a live demo, showed the code behind it, showed how easy it is to integrate it, and then showed different challenges that can be overcome. So it got basically in 2 minutes, I knew what the product did, I knew who the company was, I knew what it could integrate with, what problem it was trying to solve. And I knew that, it overcame some challenges that I was already predicting. I was like, wow, this was one of the greatest demo slash pitches I saw. It was only 2 minutes. That's all the time I have for. And I just happened to see this person posted it on LinkedIn. Didn't reach out to me, didn't reach out to anybody, was just like, put it out there. Here you go. And one of my buddies commented on it. That's how I saw it. I was like, wow, I already sent that to, my new boss, the CISO. And I was like, we should take a look at this product. I was very impressed with this demo. He's like, this is great. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Hey, I've also been talking about these other products. So that's more like get more demos where it's to the point, it's short, and you know, have the engineers talk to engineers. I think that's a big one is when you have marketers and like I would recommend to anybody in marketing and sales is maybe study up on security plus. Getting just a little bit of security knowledge and being able to speak our language, man, will that open doors to you more than anything else. Because if you start to talk to me about like, we'll say like asset discovery, and then I ask you a question about container scanning, and then you're like Tupperware containers, hey, you're gonna lose me. I'm just be like, you are not speaking my language. You don't understand my problem. I'm not talking about no Tupperware. Come on. I think that would be extremely helpful. And some of my friends who have gone and gotten their security plus and they're still in sales, like they were like, this is amazing. All of a sudden I'm way more successful. It's like, yes, you need to speak to nerdy engineers. We are awkward. We speak engineer speak. If you can speak to us, you might just get us. So that would
Yeah.
be one thing I would say for y'all is do a little bit of studying, listen to attend some talks, listen to what we're talking about, and that could be a way you can social engineer your way into our nerdiness.
How cool are these insights? I mean, I've got loads more. So listen to what Ryan Cloutier told me.
um, telling me it was all my fault, and if I didn't like it, then too bad for me. So terrible
Oh,
customer service, not working with me on the problem. Their product had a defect. I discovered the defect. They basically said it was our shit implementation of their product. I challenged that if your product's that shitty to implement, that's still your problem. And
Oh
they
my gosh.
basically told me, like it, don't like it, because at that time I wasn't big enough. I wasn't a big enough
Mm.
customer. So they just treated me like shit and told me to deal with it.
So what would be the better alternative approach from the vendor to you?
Work with me to understand the problem.
Yeah.
Take
Mhm.
time to let's not blame you. Let's not blame me. Let's just work the problem.
Yeah.
That would have gone over a lot better.
I loved this next episode that you're going to be listening to. I still, to this day, listen to it regularly. Take a listen to what Joseph Carson has to say.
I mean, it comes into some of the poor email, messages that, and the terms of words that they use, in those messages, like where they start, they send one email, the end up might be a series of 5 or 6 emails that you get, and this really starts to frustrate me because they start actually turning on you in the email threads. So the first thing is, can I get 10 minutes of your time? Because I've got something of value to provide. I want to explain how we're providing this, artificial intelligence, machine learning, zero trust, solution. And so we like providing just any context or any problem being solved. They're selling technology and not solving a problem. And then very quickly, if you don't respond within a day or two, all of a sudden they start saying, okay. Was it I guess, was it, they start saying, "You're too busy," or they're like, start blaming you, for not giving them your time. And that really gets frustrating because they start becoming nasty in the communication to you, to try and make you feel bad. And I think that's definitely, it's going back into that one thing that I mentioned earlier about this whole thing, that the one thing I hate in our industry is bullying and fear and putting other people down, and using that in your kind of marketing tactics is, what you're doing is you're doing, psychology. You're using fear and you're making people feel bad so that they can contact you to get 10 minutes of your time. That is, for me, is the worst tactics ever. And it really, it angers me that people
Mhm.
use those techniques. 'Cause ultimately it's my time which is valuable, um,
Mhm.
and to try and make me feel bad by not giving a person who hasn't pulled any trust up at any time is the wrong thing to do. And there's some large vendors who take that tactics, and, I think that they should really hard look at themselves. Um, I think it'd be good to start having a way of reporting it, uh,
Mm.
not so much, one is reporting it back to the vendors to say, like we do with, vulnerabilities. Here's your marketing techniques. Is this something you're comfortable about doing? Maybe there's this disconnect between the management team and those who are doing the campaigns. Maybe there's no communication there. Maybe people's left to do their own types of messages. For me, it's important to have, you know, people like Chris in our lives who's always direct and honest, and others, and Alan, and everyone I work with, and as peers. That's important for them to have a channel, to provide that direct feedback, and be
Mm.
able to give organizations the ability to look at that and say, is that something that we're comfortable with or not, and change the direction, change the course, and come up with something that's much more, less
Meaningful.
FUD, less fear, and more value.
Yeah.
Because we need security industry to have a image change, that we are here to solve problems. We're not here to scare you into buying something that ultimately you may never use.
Mhm.
We have to separate ourselves from the likes of, the insurance industry and the financial side of things, where they always fear you into to getting something that is overpriced and over kind of valued. And we have to change the security industry being more value driven
Mhm.
or kind of business focused and people focused than it
Mhm.
is on the other side. And that's where
Mhm.
that's where the buzzword bingo comes in. It's it's a fun game. It's always interesting what you see, and then of course, yeah, when there's a new buzzword comes out, and I'm still waiting for this year one. I think it's this year one's probably cyber war. Is going to be the kind of main one that we'll see. We're definitely in the information war today. Cyber war's a bit of a stretch, but we're
Mhm.
definitely in the information war. But you'll see companies using cyber war tactics.
All right, this next guest, John Gates, I can't believe security practitioners go through this problem. I mean, I'm floored. Have a listen.
The worst scenario that we got into is we spent 1.7 million on a student information system. We were in routes. I spent a year of development time because we came from a mainframe system and we were converting that into a Windows based student system. We got almost 8 months in. We found out from this vendor they didn't have a student scheduler at the time. They claimed they did when we bought it, right? But there was no student scheduler. Well, without a student scheduler, you can't schedule students into courses and do things. You basically don't have a system. So we lost a bit of money, a lot of time, and ended up having to cancel that contract, which really doesn't normally happen in that realm, but it did. And we went with a completely different student information system vendor, but a lot of time lost, a lot of bad blood with that one.
Yeah.
And that company's not in business anymore. Imagine that.
Okay, this next issue that Brent Detterding has experienced, well, I actually can believe that has happened. You may too. Hear what he has to say.
I've had the opportunity to see a lot of people present a lot of security solutions, right? And uh, it wasn't unethical or anything, but it was just when an SE is in way, way over their head and they just get demolished, it is not pretty. Like it's just like it's kind of like a job interview gone bad. I've done hundreds of interviews, right? And when someone just face plants, it's just ugly. And so if you couple an SE kind of face planting a little bit with a prospect who has something wrong with their life and they want to punish people, and it's ugly. Now I have been able to I have been able to intervene and step into some of those kind of situations because I'm able and willing to go toe to toe with a whole lot of people. But it's that can be pretty ugly. I don't know that that's a great answer for you, but that's
No, I love that experience. I want you to share some of the frustrations or flops or face
well,
plants you've seen. So
I can tell you one I heard about. This was not my organization, but I heard about a regional director for a sales team who passed out drunk at a client meeting
Mm.
and yeah, and then later got thrown off the plane going home for being
Oh.
belligerent. So
okay. Well,
it's
there you
bad.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. Yeah.
All right, the last guest of the day, Alan Alford. I'm actually surprised you made it this far. Can you take the heat? Here's what Alan has to say on what he hates that vendors do.
Sending me a calendar invite as if we've already discussed and talked, the blind calendar invites, single quickest way to piss me off and blacklist you forever. Just
What?
get a calendar invite and you accept it because you think like, you know what, it's a calendar invite, right? And then you realize as your day's coming up and you're like, what is this thing this afternoon? I've never heard of these people. Who are these? And what I always do is keep the meeting but not show up just to make sure I waste their time just like they wasted mine.
Oh no. What's the alternative approach to really getting in your calendar?
For me personally, I got an article I post on LinkedIn every year. Literally once a year, I repost it, and I've got vendors that are always like, "Isn't it time for the annual repost yet?" And for me personally, I say, don't try to cold call me at work. Definitely don't cold call my cell phone. That'll piss me off too. Um, don't email me. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Hit me up on LinkedIn with a very short and sweet pitch that indicates that you've got in some way, shape, or form a notion of what the heck I'm up to. In other words, bullet number one, hey, you were just on this podcast and you were talking about needing a SASE solution, which by the way, don't because I already got mine, but we're cool. You needed a SASE solution and hey, we happen to do that. So that's bullet number two. Here's who we are and what we do. Bullet number three, why you should choose us over the competitors, right? Like, hey, saw you were talking about SASE. We do SASE. We do SASE specifically for small businesses like yours. And the reason you should choose us is whatever, Fortune 100 uses this. There was a Gartner thingy. There's going to be some explanation for why you're the one I should look at, right?
Yep.
You've got something in your, I don't care who you are. You got some positive story about why me versus the competitor. But again, you're already acknowledging the competitor right there in that very first moment. Pick us because we're the cool one, and here's what I mean when I say we're the cool one. And then the
Mhm.
last piece, bullet number 4 is don't stalk me. That's it. If I don't respond, respect the fact that I didn't respond. Maybe I'm not interested in SASE at all at the moment. Maybe I already picked my player. Maybe I got super busy. Maybe I'm gonna have someone else circle up with you in 3 months, whatever, but don't stalk me. And that's my simple method. That's it. 4 bullets. Some idea that you know who and what I am, what you do, why you're the one I should pick of what you do, and don't stalk me. That's it.